the most wanted art thief in the world, the second most wanted art thief in the world, 3 valuable eggs, and The Rock. I mean, an FBI profiler are, after all, the same thing. Well, this is going to be fun, and that's why today in Flick Summary, Red Notice. The heist movie opens with some narrator telling us the story of Cleopatra's 3 eggs that were gifted to her, 2 of which have been found, but 1 remains missing. We then travel to Rome, where we meet John Hartley, who is working with the police in order to avoid the robbery of one of the eggs located. He and his team make it into the room where the egg is displayed. However, he pours some coke on the artifact, revealing that it's a fake and the real one has been stolen.
It's a trap!
They quickly close up the room and museum when a mysterious guy quickly runs away. His name? Nolan Booth. Sorry. He runs away with the actual egg as Hartley starts chasing after him. After quite a few bumps in the road, Booth is able to get away from both the police and Hartley. Bummer. A few days later, this time while he's hanging about in Bali, Booth is relaxing and chilling in his own secluded place. He pours himself a glass, and when he's about to nuzzle in, he encounters a certain surprise. Who could that be, you wonder? Well, it's none other than Hartley himself, accompanied by quite a few friends of course. Hartley starts psyching Booth, and for a split second you get to actually see him be vulnerable. But that's gone just as fast as it got there, when Daz, an Interpol agent, has finally had enough of Booth and his jokes.
Keep making your jokes because I'm about to send you to the worst place in the world.
Your Instagram account?
Hartley then arrests Booth and recovers the egg, placing it in an entirely different van than the one his nemesis was held, but not before crushing his pride for one last time.
I'm the most wanted art thief in the world.
You were.
Hartley gets ready to depart, but grows suspicious when he hears a certain noise. Thankfully, we're not Hartley and we get to see what actually went on. The egg was once again replaced and stolen by someone else, and it isn't Booth. This time around, it's a woman named Sarah Black, otherwise known as the Bishop, the greatest art thief in the world, or Wonder Woman in a different movie if you will. Once the police finds out about the phony egg, they immediately suspect Hartley, given that he was the one that handled the entire operation. That and $8 million have been deposited into his account. Daz, the Interpol agent, in case you forgot, gets The Rock arrested despite pledging his innocence time and time again, and is sent to prison in Russia, where he gets to reunite with his now cellmate, Booth.
You a top or a bottom? Doesn't matter. Prison's gonna decide for us.
Gotta be shitting me.
Gotta love reunions, huh? The 2 newly roommates start discussing the several possibilities about the new art thief. Of course, both of them suspect it's the Bishop. While getting their food at the prison cafeteria, Booth tells Hartley about a multimillionaire who of course named his daughter Cleopatra, who wants to give her 3 eggs as a wedding gift, and he's willing to pay good money for it. He then adds that the second egg is in hands of a rather dangerous art dealer named Sotto Voce, a sophisticated man who apparently doesn't know what a shirt is and loves to choke people to death. How sweet. As they get to talking, Booth realizes that he may hold a little bit of a grudge toward the man who got him there in the first place, and he decides to make sure his stay in prison is unbearable. How, you ask? Well,
guys, Niet Police, not a cop. He's a profiler for the FBI, which does fall under the umbrella of law enforcement, but not a cop.
after Booth's little stunt revenge, they get sent to the prison's captain, which just so happens to be Sarah Black, the Bishop, Booth's biggest rival for becoming the most important art thief in the world. Miss Art Thief tells Hartley that she was the one behind the $8 million deposit in order for Daz to take the bait and arrest Hartley.
I'm a suspicious suspect. Funny, don't you think?
Sarah then explains that she already has the first egg in her possession and will be getting the second one in just 2 days at Sotto Voce's party, but she needs Booth's help to get the third one, seeing that he apparently knows exactly where it is. offering him 10% of the cut if he takes her where the egg is located. Of course, he refuses and Sarah cockily walks away, certain that she will win either way. Back in prison, while doing the boring prison chores, the two start brainstorming a plan in order to break out of there as a team, which Booth isn't used to doing at all, always preferring to go solo in his stunts.
Team. It feels weird in my mouth.
At night, Booth and Hartley have a heart-to-heart, where the thief tells the FBI agent all about his dad, who suspected his son had stolen his favorite watch when he was only a teenager. His father even spent a year without speaking to his poor adolescent kid, until he showed up at home, wearing the very same watch he thought Booth had stolen, but never worked up the courage to apologize to his own son. Apparently, his terrible relationship with his father landed him where he is today, a crook. The following day, the two plan their great escape, which they not so flawlessly perform. Once out of the prison, the pair still has to go through quite a few guards in order to fully break out. But since they have The Rock on their favor, I'm sure it won't be that hard.
That's fun. This is my best friend.
We're not friends.
We're best friends.
However, this is where things get a little complicated. A massive shootout starts taking place right then and there. Hartley instructs Booth to get on a nearby helicopter while he takes care of the bad guys. Booth originally plans to leave without Hartley, but being the athletic man he is able to make it just in time. Back in London, Sarah is venting to what we originally think is his therapist, but turns out to actually be a hostage. All while she is hacking into a system to let the police know about Hartley and Booth's prison breakout. She makes the poor hostage swear to secrecy, which he complies, especially when she threatens him with releasing his browser history to the public. Once safely on ground, Booth gets a friend that apparently owed him a favor to lend him his private jet. Sounds like a pretty big debt to pay, huh? Anyway, the two board the plane, and while up in the air, Booth explains how to break into Sodasvach's house. They need to get past security and hack into a lot of security codes, and even a door that only opens with Sodasvach's face.
No, it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be really hard.
Thankfully, Booth has everything covered, even using a deep fake for the guy's face. The one thing he doesn't have covered is how to get his fingerprint to hack into his phone, but he's sure he'll figure that out later. We make it to Valencia, Spain, and our boys are all geared up at the party in Sodasvach's place, as Booth complains having to partner up with someone, but Hartley isn't afraid to retaliate.
Our partners. This is a marriage of convenience.
I want a divorce and I'm keeping the kids.
Hartley encounters Sarah, while Booth heads to get the man's fingerprint. Our man decides to face the bishop, Sarah, head on, who isn't surprised to see him there. The two get to dancing rather intensely, which makes Sodasvach jealous, quickly stepping in to interrupt the unlikely pairing. There, sneaky Hartley is able to get a hold of his phone.
I am very, very sneaky, sir.
Oh, did I forget to mention there's one more special guest star at the party? Des has snuck her way into the party and is out to finally get Booth and Hartley for good. Sodasvach starts giving a speech and our boys get their plan going. With some Oscar-worthy performances, they fool everyone into thinking the pair is just heading to the bathroom, given some wine spillage all over Hartley's suit. They finally make it into the safe room and Booth is able to get a fingerprint from a wine glass Sodasvach used. You would guess the rest would be easy, but Daz happened to be tracking their every step, catching them in the act, just as they thought they had made it. What a party pooper.
I'm the party pooper.
The police order Hartley to arrest Booth if he really is a cop, which he turns around to do, but doesn't actually put the cuffs around him. Are they best friends now? Just as they run from the police, Sarah is already expecting them, and of course a fight between the trio ensues. Oh, and even better, Sodasvach has been warned that someone has invaded the safe room, and he's heading over there right now. Sarah manages to take down both Hartley and Booth, restraining them in the exact cuffs Hartley decided not to use on Booth.
Oh, bro, I didn't see the handcuffs coming. It was a nice touch.
Without a second thought, Sarah finally gets a hold on the second egg. However, right then and there, the homeowner walks into the scene as Booth tells him that Sarah is the one that has the egg in her possession. But Sada doesn't care, especially since it turns out they're actually partners in crime.
Oh, what the fuck?
Hartley and Booth are knocked out and sent to a torture chamber in order to get Booth to spill the beans on the third egg's location. Sarah tells him she will get him to speak once he sees the horrible tortures she will put Hartley through. Surprisingly, Booth seems relieved and doesn't particularly care about what Hartley is about to go through, just as long as it isn't him.
Sorry I annoyed you with my friendship.
Sarah starts electrocuting him, but Booth still refuses to talk. Sotovacha decides to interrupt and starts choking Hartley. He practically kills him until Booth finally gets to talk, disclosing the details on the missing egg's location, which happens to be Cairo, buried in a hidden camera. The two victorious partners get celebrating and share a glass of champagne. Sotovacha's glass was poisoned and he instantly knocked out. Our boys manage to free themselves when the man wakes up feeling disoriented and shooting at everything he can, including the handcuffs that kept them in place. They quickly run away to whatever location they can, but for some strange reason find themselves to be right in the middle of a coliseum where a bullfight is about to take place.
Well, that's just great.
Apparently, they're now the star of the show. Booth instructs Hartley not to move, telling him that bulls have a terrible eyesight, but they can sense motion. Hartley tells them that he's mixing it up with Jurassic Park, but Booth is positive that he's not. But as it turns out, he was indeed getting his facts wrong.
Yes or no? Was Jeff Goldblum in it?
Oh my God, it was Jurassic Park. That's Jeff Goldblum.
Asshole!
Poor Hartley got trampled by a bull. Ouch. Anyway, later on, the pair boards a train to head on over to their next flight. Hartley insists on knowing the exact location of the third egg. Initially, Booth refuses to give away the secret, but when Hartley tells him about his father, he succumbs and starts explaining everything. Booth admits that he lied about the egg's location in Egypt and tells him it's actually in Argentina, something he found out through his father's favorite watch. Apparently, it had the coordinates to the artifact's location. There's some Nazi stuff involved, but it's not particularly relevant to the plot. Later, we cut to the pair frantically searching for the secret hideout in an Argentinian jungle, which they managed to do after a slightly heated argument between the two. They encounter a bunker that when it opens, it reveals a whole hatch with stairs, a vintage car that is worth millions, and, well, just a bunch of random stuff really. They finally get their hands on the authentic egg, but their celebration is cut short when Sarah surprisingly arrives at the scene.
Let me save you the trouble.
Your entrances are bullshit.
As it turns out, Sarah had a hunch that Booth was lying, which led her to quietly follow the duo. Given that she is armed and our boys are not, they hand over the egg to their rival. However, Sarah hardly gets to lay a finger on the valuable item when the police and Daz also arrive at the scene. Ugh. Considering the police severely outnumber the three art collectors, the trio teams up and escape with the vintage car that is probably worth millions. They retrieve the egg and manage to get away, but they fall down a cliff and land in a waterfall. Booth is the first to make it out of the water as he patiently waits for his friend to get out. Booth leaves the egg unsupervised and looks for his friend, but just as he sets out to be a hero, Hartley emerges safe and sound.
Did you just choose me over the egg?
No,
Well, it kind of looks like you did.
I didn't.
Sarah also made it out okay, which Booth relishes in, rubbing in her face that they have the egg and she doesn't, giving our hero the title of the greatest art thief in the world, or so he says. Of course, he doesn't get to savor the victory for too long. You see, Hartley and Sarah devised this exact plan together, and they're actually married, so the duo could obtain the final egg's location. As it turns out, their plan worked. I guess Hartley really wasn't a cop after all. They tie Booth to a tree and walk away with the egg without a second thought. Quite the opposite of what Booth did. The victorious couple travels to Cairo to deliver the eggs to the bride's father that wanted the artifacts for her daughter's present. Oh, and also there's a really strange Ed Sheeran cameo in this scene. Once again, the police arrives at the scene and detains everyone involved except Hartley and Sarah. Yes, that includes Ed Sheeran.
Get off me! Do you know who I am? I was in Game of Thrones!
I'm Ed Sheeran, bitch!
Some months later, the couple is relaxing at a boat when they get a surprise visit from Booth, but not for the reasons you may think. He tells Hartley and Sarah that he has forgiven them, but he has not forgotten what they did, which is why he has given the police their location but is willing to let them get away if they do one final job with him. By the time the cops get to Hartley and Sarah's hideout, the trio have already vanished without a trace, leaving room for a second movie, which we will, of course, do when it comes out. And that's all for today. Deadpool, Black Adam, and Wonder Woman in one movie. Of course, this was going to be fun. Now tell me, what did you think of this flick? Let me know in the comments. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share it with your friends. See you next time!